Welcome to worship. Before we get started, please remember to take out your phone, turn it on, and open up our app, Become More. Then click on Worship Resources and let us know you joined us. If you have a prayer request, please let us know that too. Then head on over to live chat and say good morning. Don't have our app? Find it on the Apple App Store or Google Play Store for your smartphone or tablet. We're so glad you joined us. Let's get started.
Oh, good morning. Is it that time already? Yes, I guess it is. 1 minute. I'll be right back. All right. I think this is a little better. Now you are of course free to stay, however it is you already are. No need to get all gussied up on my account. But my name is Pastor Jeremy. This is the United Methodist Church of Johnstown, and we are going to worship this morning in whatever way and however it is that you've chosen to join us. First though, I think I need some coffee. How about you? Keeping the slippers. Well, it is a beautiful morning this morning, and the coffee smells amazing and tastes amazing. And I am glad to be with you. My name is Pastor Jeremy. I am the pastor and Chief Jew Officer at the United Methodist Church of Johnstown. And we are spending this month learning how to be the church and reminding ourselves something that probably at this point we all know very well, which is we are the church anywhere and everywhere, whether we are in our homes, out in the world, in our church building, or wherever it is we might be. Today, we're going to talk especially about what happens when the plans that we have, or these great plans that sometimes we build up in our heads about how our day or week or even maybe how our life is going to go. What do we do with those when things don't go according to plan? So that's what we're going to talk about today. And as a church, we've actually been given an interesting opportunity to kind of live into this. Well, let's be honest, we've been living into this for the last 6 months or so. But one of the ways that we all together as a community are going to live into it is going to happen this November with our turkey dinner. Now, when I'm out in the community, if I'm asked about anything in relationship to our church, especially lately, it's been about the turkey dinner, and everyone's like, you are gonna do the turkey dinner, right? And of course the answer is, well, yes and no. Yes, we do want to do something. No, we can't do it like we've always done it. We're not gonna be able to have people come and actually sit and eat with us, but we can give people an opportunity through expanding the carry-out service that we've always done to enjoy at least a little bit of normalcy. And I think that's the gift we want to give right now, is that little bit of normalcy for the hundreds of people who come through each year to enjoy our turkey dinner. If you're new to the church, the turkey dinner is something we've been doing honestly for so long that nobody quite remembers when it started. There's a good chance that a few years ago we actually passed the centennial of it, and obviously, which means it has gone through all the crazy events of the last 100 years. It's come through World War II. It's come through all of everything that has happened in our country over those many years, and this year, we're going to have to be a little bit creative about what we do. Now, I bring all this up because, frankly, first and foremost, we need you. We need you to help us out with this. We need you to come be the church with us in a safe and socially distant and responsible manner. And we are looking for a number of volunteers. Hopefully, you already got an email with a form to sign up to volunteer. If you didn't, go to johnstown.church/turkey, and you can see the form there, or you can always just contact the church office and let us know what you're willing to do. We need turkey bakers, we need carvers, we need people to plate food, and we're going to need people to run back and forth to cars. If you normally are like a server at this, obviously we're not going to have that, but we have new and different and exciting jobs for you. So really, our ability to do this is dependent on our ability to find volunteers, which is why I'm mentioning it right up here, right up front, because this is one of those ways that we're going to be the church together. So, and it's one of those ways in which we're actually living into what we're going to talk about today, where now the plans we did have, we can't have those, but we can do something. So we're going to find the something we can do. All right, I am so grateful that you are here with us this morning. We have, I know I say it every week, some amazing music for you. So I hope you enjoy this morning's opening song.
Shine, Jesus, shine, fill this land with the Father's glory. Blaze, Spirit, blaze, set our hearts on fire. Flow, river, flow, flood the nations with grace and mercy. Send forth your word, Lord, and let there be light. Lord, the light of your love is shining in the midst of the darkness, shining. Jesus, light of the world, shine upon us. Set us free by the truth you now bring us. Shine on me. Shine on me. Shine, Jesus, shine. Fill this land with the Father's glory. Blaze, Spirit, blaze. Set our hearts on fire. Flow, river, flow. Flood the nations with grace and mercy. Send forth your word, Lord, and let there be light. Lord, I come to your awesome presence, from the shadows into your radiance. By the blood I may enter your brightness. Search me, try me, consume all my darkness. Shine on me. Shine on me. Shine, Jesus, shine. Fill this land with the Father's glory. Blaze, Spirit, blaze. Set our hearts on fire. Flow, river, flow. Flood the nations with grace and mercy. Send forth your word, Lord, and let there be light. As we gaze on your kingly brightness, so our faces display your likeness, ever changing from glory to glory. Mirrored here, may our lives tell your story. Shine on me. Shine on me. Shine, Jesus, shine. Fill this land with the Father's glory. Blaze,
All right, we do come to that time in our service where we celebrate a holy act of listening as we share our joys and concerns with one another. I will confess this is actually pre-recorded, so if you've turned in a prayer request on the sheet, we know that we do read those, and we will put them out on our prayer chain email, and we will lift them up to our community to share, so thank you for doing that. We do have a couple of joys that I think as a community that we can celebrate together. One is earlier this week, over 300 individual notes written by individual people were delivered to the staff and teachers and all the great people who have made our local school district work. It was so amazing to watch those come in. It was amazing that I think almost all of them that went out came back. You all participated. You all wrote great notes. Some of you donated, and we actually had baskets of goodies that went out as well. And in fact, it all happened so far and so fast and so efficiently, we kind of forgot to get pictures of all of it. Sorry. But do know that those were really appreciated. I can tell you personally, I've already encountered a couple of people picking my daughter up from the school who thanked me and in turn are thanking you for that little piece of encouragement. So I just want to say well done. Thank you everyone who participated in that. There have been actually, out of that came some ideas for some other people that we may be able to do something similar for down the line, especially people like our fire and police and first responders and stuff like that. So look for that probably in a coming month or so to find an opportunity to bless people. I love it when just a crazy idea takes root and we take on the challenge and we meet it. Nobody expected us to be doing this, and yet here we are, and we have done it. Obviously, this month we are also playing Be the Church, and we have challenged you to do various things. It was on the back of your newsletter. You can find it in the app, our honey hunt. And then we've invited you to come in and anonymously tell us what you've done so that as a community we can celebrate all of the great things that we've done together. Last week we got to add 11 bees to our bee board. This week we actually have a few more to add. So I'm going to throw it over to our roving bee correspondent, my amazing assistant, who I believe is out communing with the bees out in the garden. So let's check with Vivian and see how the bee board is going.
Thanks, Dad. So this week we got 6 drones, 7 workers, and our first queen! Yay!
Thank you, Vivian, for that. That is tremendous and amazing. Good job, everybody. Keep it coming. We will have another update for it next week, which is actually our final week of this already. Seems kind of crazy. So we got one more week to really fill up that board with all the little bees we can. Now, there are no doubt all sorts of things happening in the life around us. We do lift up a couple of people. Lee Bellow's dad is still in the hospital, still not doing particularly well. And we also lift up Marty Barker, who is in assisted living and will likely remain there and is comfortable, but is still struggling. And I know her and her family would invite your prayers. Would you pray with me? Gracious and loving God, you have challenged us to be the church. You have invited us to do all that we can to demonstrate your love and your grace to everyone we encounter. God, we recognize that that is a daunting task, and we're not always sure if we are doing anything and everything that we can. But we know, God, as long as we're doing it in your name and we're doing it the way you asked us to, God, that we cannot help but do all that we can. God, for those of us who are struggling, those of us who need help and encouragement in this time, we just ask that you send it to us. For those who need help and healing, God, may your Holy Spirit dwell upon them in this time and in this place. And God, help us to be inspired to be your hands and feet wherever it is that you would have us do so. We are blessed. We are blessed to be your children. We are blessed to be part of this community. Help us to live out that blessing in all the ways that we can. And God, wherever we gather, whether we gather from our kitchen or our bedrooms, our living rooms, or from the church or wherever it is, we know and trust that you hear our prayers when we pray together. So this morning, God, we do pray together this prayer that your Son taught us to pray. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And do not deliver us to temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Amen. Thanks for praying with us. Thank you also, as we prepare to receive today's special music, we also are open and ready to receive the gifts that you guys so kindly offer to us. The way that this church is being blessed in so many ways, including by the financial gifts that we received, is just amazing. And it does just help us be the church in all the great ways that we be the church. So I invite you now to enjoy this morning's special music.
Good morning!
Morning!
So how's it going?
Oh, I'm finer than down feathers, Ashley.
Just turned in a project at school and finished all my chores, and now I've got plenty of time for fun!
Oh, yeah, that project. When is that due again?
Friday.
Oh, phew. I was worried I forgot about it and it was due tomorrow. Oh, good. I can still play today.
You haven't started yet?
Well, no. But I've got till Friday. It's fine.
Well, sure, and I guess you were busy last week with that flower bed your mom wanted you to fix for her.
I haven't actually done that yet either, but it's fine. It can wait.
Well, what about that get well card you were going to make for Drake?
Oh, I'll send that tomorrow when I get a chance.
Sounds like you've been procrastinating a lot, Ashley. Are you sure all this stuff should wait?
What?
Procrastinating. Means putting things off till later when you shouldn't.
It's fine. Nobody's gonna get upset or miss any due dates here.
Well, I know. But putting stuff off doesn't always work out real great. What if you forget? Or what if something else comes up and you're too busy? I'm worried you're gonna end up with gum in your feathers on this one.
Peep, I don't have feathers.
Oh, I know. It's a bird saying. Means a big mess.
Gum in your feathers means a big mess?
Can you think of anything harder to fix?
Huh? Guess not. Anyway, it'll be fine, Peep.
Really? 'Cause you got a crystal ball for your birthday?
Well, no. But isn't there a whole Bible thing about not worrying?
You're right. Worrying about the future doesn't do much good. But neither does putting things off and assuming it'll all work out.
Well, but I suppose you're right. But right now, I really want to hang out with you.
I want to see you too. But I also know you'll feel a lot better if some of this stuff is done.
Hey, we both like crafts. You want to make some cards together? That way I can send Drake his note and we can hang out.
Ooh. You know, and I've been meaning to learn about gardening so I can surprise my mom with a seed bed next year. Maybe we could look over your plan for yours this afternoon.
Sure. Wait. Seed bed? Don't you mean flower bed?
Well, it's pretty much the same thing, but we plant stuff with tasty seeds we can eat.
Oh, that's practical. Sure, we can talk it through, and having a plan will help me get it done.
So, no more waiting for a wind under your tail?
What's with all the bird expressions today?
Sorry, I've been hanging out with my dad a lot. Dads are weird.
So weird. Hey, let me guess. Waiting for the wind under your tail means procrastinating, 'cause you should fly when it's under your wings.
Wow, you got it!
Very clever.
So should we say a prayer before we take off?
Always.
All right, can you guys pray with us?
Yeah.
All right. Good morning, God.
Good morning, God.
Thank you for taking care of us.
Thank you for taking care of us.
Help us to take care of our things.
Help us to take care of our things.
Not wait for tomorrow.
Not wait for tomorrow.
What we can get done today.
What we can get done today.
So we can bless others.
So we can bless others.
Like you've blessed us.
Like you've blessed us.
Amen.
Amen. Bye.
See you, everybody.
Good morning. The scripture lesson this morning is from James chapter 4, verses 13 through 17. It's called Boasting About Tomorrow. Come now, you who say, today or tomorrow we will go to such and such a town and spend a year there, doing business and making money. Yet you do not even know what tomorrow will bring. What is your life? For you are a mist that appears for a little while and then vanishes. Instead, you ought to say, if the Lord wishes, we will live and do this or that. As it is, you boast in your arrogance. All such boasting is evil. Anyone, then, who knows the right thing to do and fails to do it, commits sin.
So I spend a lot of time here, and I mean like right here. So much so that my wife bought me this special padded mat that I'm standing on right now because this is my kind of primary workspace when I'm in the kitchen. And frankly, I'm in the kitchen a lot because I like it. Cooking is one of my favorite hobbies, and who doesn't love a hobby you get to eat? Can't think of a better one as far as I'm concerned. But I don't really like cooking for myself. My favorite thing to do is to cook for other people. And anybody who's been around the church, especially the staff of the church, will know that it's not totally uncommon for me to show up with some crazy creation from my kitchen to impose on them. And thankfully they're all really good sports and try it, even though sometimes they're a little bit weird. And back when we used to do such things, there was nothing I really enjoyed more than having people over to eat and to cook for. And people, of course, will always ask, well, what can I bring? And I'm usually like, in the back of my head thinking, you don't really need to bring anything. Trust me, I will make too much as it is because that's what I do. And I sort of have this rule when we're having people over to eat, or have a couple of them, but one of the rules is I really don't like people to see dishes, right? So while I'm cooking, I'm always cleaning, and I'm always running the dishwasher and all that kind of stuff because I don't want people to come into my home. I want them to see all the beautiful food that was prepared, and hopefully it all looks good and smells good. But I don't need them to see, all the mess and all the other work that was created. After all, if you put hard work into what you were doing, the quality of the product should speak for itself, right? My wife makes fun of me for this all the time, as she probably should. But it is what it is. And the concern really is I just want people to, feel comfortable and enjoy themselves. Now, if I'm honest, very honest, sometimes that can get in the way. Sometimes I'm so obsessive about making sure everything is just right and just so, or I'm so, desire to show off my creativity and how interesting and thoughtful I can make things. Occasionally I aim a little high. And what I think is going to happen, what I hope is going to happen, doesn't really turn out. And then you're left scrambling to figure out what to do when the thing that you thought you were going to serve ends up being too salty or gets burned or just flat out isn't very good. This has happened to me more times than I'd like to count. And frankly, I don't know that I always handled it all that well, because I had this idea in my head, like I built up this thought in my head, like I'm going to serve this and it's going to be delicious and everybody's going to tell me how delicious it is, and I'm going to sit there and go, I know. And I'm sad. I'm sad sometimes when it feels like that gets taken away from me, when the plan that I had doesn't work out. I think that's something we can all relate to. Now, it's actually interesting that I enjoy, and that my family enjoys, entertaining as much as we do. I remember one of the first times my wife and I ever had people over. We were just newly married. We were in our first real apartment. We had just moved to a new state. My wife had started a new school, and she wanted to invite some friends over, a couple of friends or people that she thought may have the potential to be friends. So she invited them over for dinner, and I was still kind of a fairly new cook, so I found some stuff that was, I thought was kind of impressive, but also easy, and I knew I could do it. So I spent the day kind of cooking and preparing, when these friends arrived, we sat down and we had a nice meal, for the most part. One of the people that came, that my wife had invited, was actually one of her professors, which was a new idea to me. I never really mingled with my professors on that kind of social level, but in her department and in her program, that was something that they did. And it wasn't too long into the meal, or into our time together, that this professor that she brought, who was probably about my age now, it's about 20 years ago, he's probably about my age that I am now, came and started to tell us about when he throws dinners parties. And he started to talk about the way that he does it, and the cocktails that he serves, and the way that the food is laid out. And I'm looking around going, well, we don't have cocktails, and these are the best plates that I own. Now, I couldn't help but thinking, is like this how adult dinner parties go? Because frankly, this doesn't really feel as much fun as I would like it to be. Interestingly, this problem that I had then, and the problem that I frankly still sort of have now, about wanting and getting really invested in things being a certain way, is not a new problem. It's not a new problem to me, and it's not in any way unique to us now. And in fact, today's scripture is exactly about that. James is writing to a very early church community, one that is probably made up of a lot of like merchants and things like that. And one of the things that these folks do when they get together is talk about all the various things that are going on and life and business, and they will come in and they will attempt to oftentimes like one-up each other, where it's like, oh, you're gonna go here and do this, well, I'm gonna go here and I'm gonna go do this, but I'm gonna be gone for a year, and when I come back I'm gonna have made all this money, and they get really invested and caught up, one, in what they expect to be doing in the future. They get caught up in what they hope that their profits and their proceeds from all of this work is going to be, to the point that they are actually bragging almost to each other, not about what has happened, but what it is that they hope will happen. Now, James is concerned about this for a couple of reasons. First, he's trying to build a community. He's trying to build a community in the way that Jesus asks us to be community, and being a place where everyone's just constantly trying to one-up each other, and show about how successful they are, how successful they are going to be. It doesn't lend itself to be a place where people perhaps want to spend a lot of time, as you can imagine, and then it really honestly is antithetical to what it is that Jesus was doing and was about, right? Jesus didn't spend a lot of time bragging about how wonderful he was or how wonderful his disciples were, nor does he ask us to do the same. So James realizes very quickly that this behavior that people are engaging with, this kind of one-upmanship and gamemanship, isn't helpful to them in their actual task, the actual thing that they are about, which of course is giving birth to this new thing, this new Christian community that we ourselves stand as inheritors of. The other thing that concerns James is, he doesn't know exactly where things are going to go. He doesn't know exactly what things are going to happen. And I'm sure he himself has plans for himself and this community and everything that's going on. But he also, I has no doubt at this point, has recognized that he can plan all that he wants to plan. At the end of the day, it's probably not up to him. And when he sees all these folks in his community making all these grand proclamations about things they're going to do and all the wonderful things that are going to happen to them, James doesn't say, no, those things aren't going to happen. He's open to the idea that they are. But he does say, don't get so infatuated with them. Don't get so excited about them. Don't get so invested in what you think is going to happen and what you think success looks like and what you think you're being called to do in this moment, because you may not be completely right about that. And it may be that it turns out the way that you want it to. And again, James is open to that, but he also then goes on to say, if that ends up being the case, then you need to recognize that it wasn't that things didn't go your way simply because of you and how wonderful you are. That all of us are dependent on one another, and frankly, all of us are dependent on God. And that's really James's primary concern. He doesn't want these folks to lose their dependence on God. He doesn't want them to forget the fact that it's by God's grace that we are here. It is by God's grace that we have the gifts and graces that we have. It's by God's grace that we have the ability to go out and do and accomplish the things that we do, and we should be grateful for those. James wants people to be grateful to each other and grateful to God for the blessings they have in their lives. And his concern is if they get all caught up on what their plans are and what they think their lives should be, they will, one, miss out when God maybe wants to take them in another direction, an unexpected direction that frankly may be even better than what they were planning. And it also means he doesn't want them to miss out on the opportunity to be grateful, to recognize the blessings that are already in their lives and the blessing that their lives are. If they're constantly striving for whatever the next wonderful thing is, when do you ever step back, enjoy the moment, and be grateful for what you have? One of the fascinating things that I learned about bees as we were developing this series is that over the course of one bee's life, a bee that makes honey anyway, over the course of one honeybee's life, they can expect to make right around 1 tablespoon of honey. Yes, 1 tablespoon, which means this little jar right here represents the life's work of 32 bees on average. Some might make a little bit more, some might make a little bit less. And obviously, bees are bees. They don't think the way that you and I do, and they don't plan the way that you and I do. They just do. They just do basically on instinct what it is that they feel called to do. And because they do that, because they live in the moment and they go with the flower that's in front of them, and they don't waste so much time planning about tomorrow or the next day, and the next day, and the next day, or building up these expectations of I'm going to make a tablespoon and a half of honey, right? They don't burden themselves. They're not themselves burdened by all of that. They're able to go, they're able to do, and they're able to produce something that not only blesses them and through the winter, that's why they make honey in the first place after all, is to feed themselves, but something that also blesses all of us. I don't know that I will ever really look at the honey I put into recipes or use in my kitchen again, knowing that every tablespoon represents the life work of some industrious bee somewhere. A bee that really wasn't worried about tomorrow, a bee that was just going about and doing what they felt called and knew they needed to do. I'm a little inspired by that, I don't mind saying. So what does that mean for us? Does this mean that God doesn't want us planning for our future? Should we not save for our retirement? Should we not have dreams for ourselves? If we were younger, should we not have dreams about where we're going to college, what we're going to do with our lives? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. God, of course, wants those things. God, of course, wants us to plan for our future and save for a rainy day and, do all that kind of stuff. That's just being prudent, and there's nothing wrong with it. The challenge is doing it, but not then getting so fixated on it, not getting so fixated on what's coming tomorrow that we fail to enjoy and embrace the blessings of today, and not get so invested in things needing or having to go a certain way, things needing and having to be a certain way, our lives working out a certain way, that we can't see or we miss out on seeing possibly the different thing that God may be choosing to do in our lives. I remember once we were hosting some friends over at our house when we lived in Montana, and I had this grand meal planned. I had this whole idea, and I had downloaded some different recipes from the internet, and my wife will tell you that I might look at a recipe for inspiration, but I almost never follow it completely. And so I decided to go my own way and take my own path, and I was very excited about it. And I had all this stuff going and brewing and bubbling and cooking and all this sort of stuff, and it was getting close to the time for folks to arrive. So as I was finishing up, I began to taste the first thing, and it was not very good. And I began to taste the next thing, and it was not very good. And in fact, almost none of the things I had made, except for like the chip and dip that I had made, were actually really any good. And I was deeply troubled, and I was deeply embarrassed. And here I invited all these friends over who've come over to my house before, and they, knew what to expect, and I'm sure were no doubt expecting a good and decent meal and some fun times together. And I had nothing worthwhile to offer, and I had a kitchen full of dirty dishes, and I had a bunch of food that went straight into the trash because it simply wasn't. Not only was it just not good enough, it just simply wasn't good. And so instead, we ordered pizza like you do, and our folks came over, and my friends came over and said, and they, oh, okay, oh, pizza, okay, I thought you were gonna cook. And I said, no, I tried, and I made several things, and none of it worked out. And they smiled, and you could see the little bit of disappointment in their face. You know, they were coming, but you know, they sat down and began to chat and eat the pizza, and I kind of ran away for a little bit. I went into the bedroom and was very disappointed because I had this plan for how my evening with my friends was gonna go. And then Dane came in, and my wife, and she's like, what are you doing? Why don't you come out? We're going to play a game. And I'm like, I don't want to. And she's like, honey, it's okay. Come play the game. And you know what? At the end of the day, at the end of the evening, nobody remembered that, you know, there was supposed to be a meal that didn't happen. Nobody remembered. I barely remembered what it is that I had intended to cook that wasn't able to cook. But what did happen is we played some games, and we had a lot of fun, and we enjoyed each other. And because all we were doing was pizza, and because I didn't have to do anything with that, I actually had more time to hang out with my friends and enjoy their company. It ended up being not the evening I wanted or expected, but it still ended up being a pretty good evening. Now, that doesn't mean that I've given up cooking for my friends. No, it's still something I do. It's still something I enjoy. I cannot wait until we get to the point where we can start having large groups of people over again, and I can do that thing that I love doing. But I was reminded that sometimes it doesn't always work out the way that you want it to, and if we get fixated on the things that didn't happen, we're going to miss out on the things that did. No doubt, all of our lives have been disrupted. All of our plans are different than we expected them to be. And no doubt there's some grief that goes along with that. And that is not wrong. We should. There's a lot to grieve right now about what we wanted to be doing with this year that we, turns out, are not doing with this year. What we can't do is we can't let that grief and we can't let those unmet expectations loom such a large shadow that we miss out on the good stuff that is happening, that we miss out on the blessings that are there. Because it's in those places, it's in those blessings and in those times, in those moments when we can see the other stuff that is going on around us, that we get to see what God has put into our lives, and how, in this moment, we are called to be God's children. There's a saying, you know, when life hands you lemons, you make lemonade. I think that's really what James is on about here. He's like, don't get so fixated on what you think you're going to be handed, that when you're handed something unexpected, you don't know what to do with it, or you don't have the ability to make something good out of it. Yes, life will hand us things we don't want. Life will take things from us we'd rather not lose. Life will ask us to do things we'd rather not do. Our faith tells us that it is in those moments that God is with us. And in fact, oftentimes it's in those moments when God is the most with us. When everything is going the way that we want and the way that we plan, it's sometimes easy to forget who we are and whose we are. But when things aren't going the way we expect, and aren't going the way we plan, and we cannot just simply rely on what we assumed is going to happen, and we do have to figure things out anew, it's in those times and in those places that we get to see God at work in fairly obvious ways. So may we all have eyes open to where God is working, and may we all be God's children in that way, and may we all look back at our life's work and be grateful for it. Thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us. Amen.
Remember chasing butterflies, swimming in the summertime. The sun came up and went down with your best friend every day. Making bets and pinky swears, living up to the double dog dares, learning to ride that big two-wheeler you got for your birthday. You might have skinned a knee and you got burned, But they say if you don't fall, you don't learn. I learned to close my eyes and pray, to thank God for another day. Remember to ask forgiveness for the things that I got wrong. He'll wrap his arms around me tight, and I learned to make things right. The angels will sing their glorious song. Working all day just to pay the bills, making mountains out of little old hills, doing your best just to see that your kids are raised upright. Going to games and the PTO, wondering if you'll ever grow into someone who has some answers, some great insight. You've got a list of mistakes that twists and turns, but they say if you don't fall, you don't learn. I learned to close my eyes and pray, to thank God for another day. Remember to ask forgiveness for the things that I got wrong. He'll wrap his arms around me tight, and I learned to make things right. The angels will sing their glorious song. Rocking in a chair and reading the book, sitting by the window so you can look out and see the life that's just flown by. It's almost gone. Your head full of moments old and new, your childhood, your children, even theirs too. Grateful that your stay has been so sweet, so long. Wondering what happened to your stay that seemed so long. You've got plenty of scars you know you've earned, but they say if you don't fall, you don't learn. What did you learn? I learned to close my eyes and pray, to thank God for another day. Remember to ask forgiveness for the things that I got wrong. He'll wrap his arms around me tight, and I learned to make things right. The angels will sing their glorious song. Remember chasing butterflies, swimming in the summertime, learning to bow your head to thank God for another day.
As we wrap up this morning's service, a couple of announcements for you. If you are interested in being in our new member class, that is going to start next Sunday. We're going to run Sundays at 11:15, both at the church and on Zoom. There's a little bit of time left to register if you want to be a part of that. It's open to anybody. If you're just curious about the church or just discipleship and what that looks like, you are invited to attend. If you'd like to meet some of our new folks, you're invited to attend, but I do need you to sign up, so do that. Of course, Deeper Dive with me is 7 o'clock on Thursdays. That is exclusively on Zoom right now. And hopefully you stayed tuned for the town hall last week. If you didn't, go back and you're welcome to watch that. We are making plans towards some very limited in-person opportunities for worship for those who feel comfortable doing so. More information on that to follow. And of course, turkey dinner. We need you to sign up. We love turkey dinner, don't we?
Yeah.
Yep.
I can't wait.
Can't wait. We need you to sign up. We got different kinds of jobs and roles this year, so do sign up for that. Hopefully you got the email, and if you didn't, just go to johnstown.church/turkey and fill out the information. Let us know what you're willing to do to help us out with that important ministry. All right. Shall we offer the blessing? All right. Let us go. Let us go and be the church in all the places and all the ways we can. Let us go holding loosely on our plans for what we think is going to happen, and instead be prepared to embrace whatever it is that God needs and wants us to do. Let us go. Let us go in peace. Amen.
Woohoo!
Woohoo! Thank you for joining us.
Thanks.
We accept somebody's hospitality, and then to the point that they are actually bragging almost to each other, not about what has happened, but what it is that they hope will happen. Ollie! That interruption in what they thought was going to happen, maybe that was something. Okay, we're going to need to do this later.